There is one more concept we need to dive into that relates to coercion, and that is loose equality and strict equality. First, what is loose equality and strict equality? Well, let me open the console here. And just so you're aware, sometimes loose equality is referred to as double equals. So here we have loose equality, while strict equality would be triple equals. And so this evaluates to true, whereas strict equality would evaluate to false. Now, let me first say that in almost every case, you should use strict equality. You should use the triple equals. Strict equality will be more accurate for most every occasion. When loose equality is used, the JavaScript engine tries to convert or coerce one or both of the values to the same type and then applies strict equality. So that's the difference that we're looking at here. So in the case of this first example I gave, what the JavaScript engine is doing is first coercing this to a number, and then it does strict equality on 1 equal 1, and that comes out true. So that's really the main difference. Strict equality doesn't do any coercion at all. And so it's simply checking to see if they are equal to each other. They have to be of the same type, and they have to be the same value. So in that example, the string here gets coerced to a number, and therefore they become equal to one another. Let's look at another example where loose equality does that coercion we're talking about. So if we do false equal to 0, that is true. Because what's happening here in this case is the Boolean gets coerced to a number. And of course, we know that when false is converted to a number, it becomes 0, and 0 is equal to 0. But as we know, if we use strict equality, those won't be equal to each other. We can do the same type of thing with true double equal 1, like that. And those are considered equal to each other because of the coercion that takes place. Now, what happens with a Boolean and a string? So let's do true equal to a string of 1. Now, what happens with a string is it'll try to coerce both to a number. So it coerces true to a number, which is 1, and this string to a number, which is also 1. So those end up being equal to each other. Some of these may seem pretty strange. Like, for example, why would those ever be equal to each other, even using loose equality? But they are. Now, if you're really interested in the rules that are applied when it's doing this loose equality, you can refer to the MDN page, Equality, Comparison, and Sameness. You can refer to that page. If you go down to loose equality, it has a table which tells you what type of coercion it does. So we can see here that when operand A is a Boolean and operand B is a string, it coerces both of them to a number. Then it does the triple equals once they've been converted to a number. So that's how it's happening. All right, let's look at one more example, which I think is an important one to see. Undefined double equal null. Those are equal to each other when you're using double equals. Obviously, if we did a triple equal here, those are not equal to each other because they're not of the same type. So that's loose equality versus strict equality. Now, as a rule, always use strict equality unless you have a reason to do otherwise. If you have a reason to use double equality, then go ahead and do it. But if you don't have a reason, always use strict equality. So when would you use loose equality? What is a reason that would make that necessary? Well, here's a couple examples. There may be a case where you are unsure whether a function will return a number or a string representing the same number. In that case, you may want to use loose equality to see if those numbers are equal to each other. Or you can always just coerce it to a number as another option. Another situation where you might want to use it is if you're comparing the lack of a value, and it could be undefined or it could be null, depending on whether the code changed it to null or it's still undefined by the system. Well, that would be a case where double equals would work. So those are some situations where you may want to use loose equality. Otherwise, always use strict equality. All right, let's move on.